People are like stomping all over this freaking house right now. Hey guys, so today, as you can probably tell from the title, I'm going to be doing a review on I Am Number 4 by Pittacus Lore. I just finished this book last night and I really enjoyed it. I actually gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars, so on Goodreads that does show up as a 5. There were a couple things that I'll talk about that kind of threw me off, and that's why it went down half a point, but it wasn't enough to really ruin the book for me or anything. So basically, if you don't know, which I'm sure a lot of you do, this book is about a boy whose name is John Smith in this book, but his name changes very often because he is one of 9 kids from the planet Lorien who are shipped to Earth after their planet is destroyed by the Mogadorians. I hope I'm saying that right. Anyway, these 9 children that are shipped to Earth are part of the Guard on their planet on Lorien, and the Guard develop legacies, or they're like superpowers throughout time, and they each are assigned a Sipan, I don't know how to pronounce that either, to take care of them and help them hone their legacies whenever they do show up. And they are hoping that these 9 children will grow up, and with their legacies they will be able to fight off the Mogadorians and take back their planet. This book starts off whenever John is actually living in Florida, and he is actually going by Daniel Jones, and he is at a party on a yacht for one of the kids at his school whenever another scar burns itself into his ankle. Now, every time one of the other children are killed by the Mogadorians, each remaining member of the Guard that is on Earth has a scar burned that wraps around their ankle, and so they know how many of them have been killed. Now, the Guard can only be killed in their order, so they can kill the first one, then the second one, then the third one, then the fourth one. They can't go out of order. Now, he is number 4, and the third one has just been killed, and he has his 3rd scar around his ankle, so he knows that he is next. And whenever that happens, he ends up leaving the party by kind of unusual means. He jumps off the boat and swims underwater the however many miles it is back to shore, and meets his Sipan, Henry, who is acting as his father, of course, and they decide that they need to leave Florida, and they head to Ohio. Now, he gets to Paradise, Ohio, which is a very rural, small town, and things from there start to change. He gets a little more involved in school than he normally does, and that causes some problems, and that's kind of where the story really takes off. Now, like I said before, I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's an extremely fast read. It only took me a few days. It took me a couple days to get to page 180, and then I finished all the way through the rest of the book to page 440 yesterday, so it speeds up and you're able to finish it really fast. Now, I am not one to write in my books at all. I am as Martha from, I think it's oh no, this is going to be bad. From My Heart Reading, I don't remember. I'll put what her channel is above me, but she was explaining when she was talking about whether she annotates in her books or not, that she used to be what she calls a book purist. She didn't write in her books or anything like that, and that's kind of how I am. I don't dog-ear pages, I don't write in books, but I was finding myself, now that I'm trying to start reviewing books, that the thoughts that I'm having while I'm reading aren't sticking in my head after I'm done, so I need to write them down somewhere. And so what I decided to do was, I have these really big post-it notes, and I just write down my thoughts on them, and then whenever I'm done, I just stick them in the front page. It doesn't leave any residue when you take them off. I am not bending any pages, and I'm not writing in the book, so that works for me. So I have made a few notes. The first one that I have written down is the fight scene, very ninja movie, and that's kind of what I found throughout most of the fight scenes, in this book, that it's a little bit, the only word I can think of is a little bit cheesy, I guess, as well as the fight scene at the end of the book. That one, just took forever for me. I don't know if it was because I was reading it before work and I needed to start getting ready, and so I was kind of impatient, like, okay, this scene needs to end, and, you know, everything needs to be resolved. I'm not really sure. I probably shouldn't have been rushing towards the end of the book to read it. That probably developed part of my thoughts on it. The next thing is the relationship with Sarah is a little insta-love and a little bit cheesy. So he does, obviously because it's a young adult novel and not many young adult novels can make it through without some sort of romance, he does meet a girl and he falls in love with her. Now, I don't think he was in the town that he was in where he meets her for more than 3 months, and he's saying he's in love with her, and so it's a little bit insta-love, especially at the beginning. And here I have a quote, the one that, and it makes me almost feel uncomfortable sometimes. Okay, so for example, like, I can't deal with this kind of stuff. Okay, it says, "We go to the edge of the woods, but it's too dark for us to enter. We instead walk along the perimeter of the yard hand in hand, occasionally stopping to kiss with the moon and stars as witnesses." No, that is just like, that's ridiculous to me. I can't do that kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm not a big romance novel person, and that was getting a little too ridiculous for me. But yeah, so those are the only two downfalls for the book for me. The relationship with Sarah, which did get better towards the end, but definitely throughout the book I found myself being a little bit nauseated from that part of it. I don't think it was really needed. It doesn't really bring out anything in his character at all, that in his like personality, that is relevant to the story, so I just kind of feel like it was unneeded, and that some of the fight scenes were a little bit drawn out and a little bit exaggerated, I guess. Those are really the only two downfalls of this whole book. There were some of the things that I liked about this book was definitely the relationship between John and Henry, his Sipan. I loved that aspect of it. I also liked the world building of Lorien through the visions that John has of the destruction of his planet, as well as the whole concept of the story. I'm sure it's not, you know, necessarily an original concept, but I've never read anything like this, so I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the character of Sam as well, which is kind of his nerdy best friend who's obsessed with alien theories, conspiracy theories, and NASA and all of that. And one small thing that I found really funny was Henry, there isn't a lot of cursing in this book, but whenever Henry means to say something like, "Oh, that was damn good," he says "shit good" instead, and it's just really funny. It's just funny, and I'm not expecting him to say it, and at first he said it, and I'm like, it doesn't sound right, and then John's like, "I think you mean damn good," and he's like, "Oh, whatever," and then later in the book he says it again, "That was shit good," and it was just really funny. And so this book isn't necessarily funny in a lot of places, but that was definitely one of the humorous parts for me. So yeah, I don't read a lot of sci-fi. I do read dystopian, I do read some fantasy, but I don't know, I definitely don't read a lot of sci-fi. So this was definitely some of the first sci-fi that I've read, and I'm really glad that I did. I really enjoyed it. So thank you, Robin, for suggesting this book for me for last month that I ended up reading this month. But yes, it's really good. I'm definitely going to recommend this to anyone who likes sci-fi, anyone who thinks that this sounds good. Of course, there are 2 more books out right now, The Power of 6 and The Rise of 9. I was just kind of late to jump on this bandwagon, but yes, so definitely recommend it if you like alien stories and good world building, easy going writing, if that makes any sense, easy to read writing, I guess, and a quick paced story. So alright guys, so that is it for this review. Keep a lookout for some more, obviously this month, maybe from Robin. We are kind of planning on maybe reviewing Sisters Red together, since it is on both of our to-be-read lists for this month. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments if you read this book, how you feel about it, or if there's anything else like these books that you would recommend for me to read. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.